All right, welcome back to another episode of Nickel for Your Thoughts. Today we have a very special guest, Saloni. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, my name is Saloni. I'm a third year dental student, and I'm mutual friends with some of Mike's friends, Alvin's friends, and I went to the same undergrad basically as them, so I'm here now.
Did you do BME?
I didn't. I was the odd one out. I'm
Our
good old
first
bio.
non-BME guest. Let's go!
Really?
Round of applause.
Yay!
We're going through some character development here.
Diversifying.
Yeah, that's awesome. What was your undergrad?
NJIT.
What is it?
NJIT.
No, I mean what was your major?
Oh, okay. I was bio, and technically I have a chem minor. Legally, I don't. I did all the classes for them, and then there was one stipulation. I did research that was supposed to cover one of the classes, and then my advisor was like, "Yeah, actually, it didn't cover it." And it was the last semester. I wasn't trying to pay $1,000 to take a random class over the summer when I graduated, so I didn't, and so I didn't get the minor. But what is a piece of paper if I have the knowledge?
That's so messed up. I mean, the piece of paper is actually everything, right? It's the piece of paper is what gets you through the door.
Yeah.
I don't think
Yeah.
I'm on to get my piece of paper.
You never
You don't
got
have
it?
your piece of paper?
I don't think so.
I didn't have mine for the longest time. Yeah.
Hold on, I'm looking for mine now.
Okay. The last time we talked about it, Pat, you haven't gotten yours yet.
No, I did because what happened is my job has a location in Newark and I had to go there, and so on my way there I kind of just snuck over to the bursar's office and picked it up. But
Did that take a while? Were you able to get rid of it?
no, I walked up and they're like, "Do you have a driver's license or something?" I was like, "Yep, here you go." And they're like, "What's your student ID number?" I was like, "I don't remember." And they're like, "I don't care," and gave it to me.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah,
Good
like
old
2 minutes.
NJIT for you.
Yeah.
Anthony
is
keeps
it-
his diploma in this some random binder.
Is it bad that I don't know where it is?
Oh,
Again,
man.
Mike, this is that's enough,
Right?
right?
Yeah, jeez. Mine's on the wall right behind me.
I mean, I have proof to say that I graduated, so.
You have the sweater.
Yeah.
Is that
Incredible.
proof?
I can always go access degree works whenever I want.
That's true.
I think according to DegreeWorks, I'm still attending NJIT.
Yeah, let's go.
Oh, for our listeners, I forgot to mention we have Saloni as our guest, but we also have a sub today for Sourav. We have Alvin. He was a guest on our second or third episode.
No, I'm just Sourav. I'm Sourav.
He's
Giraffe 2.0.
he's faux Sourav today. Oh, 2.0. Damn.
This is
Oh,
what
that's a
Sourav looks like with the
statement.
mustache.
He's Sourav with facial hair.
Yeah.
That's all right.
What is it?
So,
We'll call it out, I
Saloni
guess.
is actually on the road to starting her own podcast. She's trying to create content. Saloni, can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So, I mean, I met up with some of our friends, including Mike, at a social about a month and a half ago, where or party, whatever you want to call it. But I social. Yeah, it was a
It was a
holiday
networking event.
networking event. It was literally just a friend's holiday party. I'm making it way more extra. But anyways, so we met then, and I kind of asked them about their inspiration or what kind of got them started. And I think you guys had mentioned it once on the podcast, but I talked to them about it, and it kind of got me thinking. So I had a blog for, I want to say 2 years now. I went to a dental conference back in 2018 in Chicago, and it kind of sparked a lot of inspiration, I guess, for lack of better words. And everyone there was so passionate. The energy, you could feel it in the room, but it was really dental oriented. So I made a blog called Smiles by Saloni. I think back then I called it something totally different, like Truth Be Told or something like that. I was trying to be corny. I guess it worked, but it had its time. So I think about 2 years into dental school, I started realizing that there's a lot more there's more facets to me, and I think I've always known that. But having that blog just have tooth in it kind of narrowed my niche to dentistry. And so I expanded it to Smiles by Saloni, and then from there I started posting random content, whatever inspired me about books that I read or other podcasts I'd listened to, and it was more of a lifestyle kind of page. And then in the past year, I've done a lot of mental clarity and personal development self-help, psychology, and behavior studies, and that's incredibly intrigues me. I always like to ask people like, why do they do what they do? Who are they as a person? When they're alone with their thoughts, what do they think about? And it doesn't have to be super like Freudian about like, do you have daddy issues? It's not like that kind of psychology. It's more of like who are you, like deeply and fundamentally, like as a person, like what makes you tick, and have you worked on it? Are you aware of, the thoughts that run through your head? And I think for the longest time, even me, like someone who's super introspective, kind of has gone through life a little bit blindly. You don't really recognize what you do and why you do it, who you are, and what's formed you to be that way, and if you're okay with it, for the matter. So essentially, I've read a lot on it, and I have a lot to share or ask questions, even more so than just share. And that's kind of the direction I've led my platform to be on. And hopefully, as you can tell, I like to talk. So put 2 and 2 together, you got a podcast.
No, I'm very excited. I mean, I've followed your account. I see the content that you post, and I was confused. I'm glad you clarified that, because I was thinking, is the Smiles by Saloni more geared towards like, trying to make people feel better about themselves, to make them smile, or is it like a play on words because you are a dental student? But
a little bit of both. It
yeah,
started off
so I
with the
love
dental
that.
student.
That's awesome. I love that.
So I guess like now that I'm on here, and like Mike and like a couple of my friends who listen or watch the content that I post, I should probably ask more of like, what do they get out of it? Like when they watch things or they follow friends, is it, some of it could purely be like, oh, I'm your friend, so I'm going to follow you. But when you see things like this, I know like Mike, for you've started like more self-help, self-love type of postings on TikTok. Personally,
Yeah.
I don't have a TikTok because I would literally get lost in it for hours on end.
It's a rabbit hole.
It really is, much like any other social media, but like especially something so quick to scroll through. But yeah, so like my impression of like me sharing these things has more so been like starting conversation. And I feel like I'm not just in my head, but I'm always like observing and trying to understand like human behavior a lot. And that's kind of geared into like a platform, but I've been like this for as long as anyone's known me. Like at the age of 16, I'd always be like, what is life? No, but actually though, like fundamentally, what is life? And even younger maybe. So now I'm getting to an age where I'm comfortable like articulating what it is that I'm trying to express. And I kid you not, like I could be with patients, and within like a 3-minute conversation, some of them will be like, yeah, I went to war, it changed me this way, and they'll like have really good conversations with me. And I'm like, dang, these are the things we miss because we're in just like a, hey, how are you? Good. All right. Off to the weekend, you know how it is, and conversations like that, which have a time and a place. But I'm like, when do we really get to sit down and like pause, I guess? And we don't have that a lot in our society. And it's not to pick apart and be like, we're in a hustle culture, we're this and that. But it's like, I don't know. I like to stop. I like to meditate on the moment and ask questions when they're desired. But when you guys are together, I maybe from a guy perspective, do you think you ever really talk about these things?
I think it depends. I mean, when we go out, when we're going out grabbing drinks, I think it's more so like to relax, kind of get away from reality and try to get away from all the serious stuff that's going on in our lives. We kind of just want to escape from that. So, we go out, we dick around. We don't really talk about anything too serious, but recently, these guys can tell you I've been going through something that's pretty, personal, and which kind of led me to start that TikTok page. But my friends have been there for me every step of the way. If I'm in a really dark place, I'd literally call them up and be like, hey, what are you guys doing this weekend? Can we go out? And like last weekend, we literally went to Morristown, and we rented a hotel. We went out,
Aw.
and we hung out, get my mind off of it. And so like nights like that, we talk about the serious things, what's bothering us, what they can do to help, in that scenario, help me out, right? So I do believe that there's a time and place for it. But most of the time, if we're going out to have fun, we try to stay away from serious conversations.
Yeah,
Not to be avoidant or anything. It's just,
I agree.
you don't want to ruin the vibe, right?
Right. Yeah, I think there, as you said, a time and a place and a balance. I, generally speaking, don't just run up to people and I'm like, so, childhood trauma, you got some?
Oh my
And
god.
no, I'm being humorous, and trust me, I don't do that. But like, Um, my point is sometimes even when you meet new people, we're kind of hesitant because it's more of surface level. For example, one thing I learned, which is odd, when someone asks you, like today, you're like, so introduce yourself, right? You go to your name and you go to your profession. Why do you think that is the case? Why is your profession your identifying feature? You know,
Because
like
people
why
value you based off
people
of
value
what
your
you do.
profession. That's true, and I think that also is an underlying feature of like the maybe the country we live in, maybe like the society that we're in, because it is a little bit of like my value comes from what I can produce. But then we talk about work, we're like, yeah, it's a 9 to 5, you know, day in, day out. So like there's that dichotomy. I bring this up only because I think in day-to-day conversations we don't understand the psychology behind what it is that we're speaking about. So you don't go up to people and say, hey, my job is my biggest asset to me, you know? But you being like, or me being like, hi, I'm Saloni, I'm a dental student, right? That's not demeaning that dentistry isn't important to me, but that at the core of it is not who I am. Like, hi, I'm Saloni. I don't know, I'm a sister, I'm a daughter, I am a friend, and those things I hope I bring more value to than just being a dentist, you know? And I will be those things, excuse me, longer than I will ever be a dentist. So I hope that I add to them, I nourish them, and those parts of me come out more than me being a dental student, you know?
I
But
love that.
yeah,
I like that a lot. I feel like we like put so much pressure behind like I guess defining who you are by like what you do.
yeah,
And it's like that's horrible. It's not I mean, it's so like ingrained into us. Like you were saying when you introduce yourself, occupation is one of the first things you say after your name. And it's like
yeah,
you don't need to do that. Like
exactly. Ever since I was told that tidbit, like, I mean, I still introduce myself that way, but like I can't get that narrative out of my head. It's not a bad one. It's just like subconsciously you think about it a little. And I think a lot of like the stuff that I read now. So like one of the main principles that I'm reading about is Stoicism, which I don't know if any of you have been introduced to it. Have you like anyone?
Mm-mm.
No.
I don't.
I'm not
No.
familiar.
So it's a philosophy basically that kind of originated in like the Greek and Roman empires, and all different types of like leaders from I think like Theodore Roosevelt to some famous poets to Marcus Aurelius, who was like the emperor, and they span between so many different professions, like people that ran Rome to like slaves, and Stoicism essentially is like it's a principle that I don't have a good definition to, but its founding pillar is this idea that there are things in the world that you can control and there are things in the world that you can't. And it's about putting power into the things that you control. This is like, you know, an oversimplified definition, but there's a lot of really good books that I started reading by an author called Ryan Holiday, which I highly recommend. If there's only one book that I could recommend, and I'm not that much of a reader, like I've only really started this year, like reading for fun, but of all the books that I've read so far, The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday, I just think anyone should read it. I don't care how old you are, what career you're in, what exactly it is that you're grappling with life. You could be insanely happy in all avenues of life, and I still think it's a pertinent book. But point is, ever since I started reading this philosophy, I start looking at the world differently, and it's not just like this toxic positivity of like things go wrong, but you're like everything is still good. I believe in hope and goodness, and it's not as I guess toxic positivity. I'm sure you guys have probably heard that term thrown around on social media where like people are overtly positive when things are going wrong. But this philosophy is a lot more strategic. It's like, how do you manage the little and big things in life? You're stuck in traffic. Are you going to yell at the person behind you? Like as if that's going to do anything, you know? Or I don't know. There's a lot of different like little decisions you make throughout your day and they compound. I forget who said this, but there's a saying that like, your life is made up of days or something like that. Like your life is made up of days. So the way you lived today, right now, repeat it a million times over and that's your life, you know? And every little decision you made from getting out of bed to picking out the pair of clothes to deciding if you wanted coffee or tea to being on this podcast and listening to some 23-year-old girl ramble about philosophy, like the decisions you made today, are you happy about them? Did you ever get triggered by something and act out of character? Did you, I don't know, live life all out throughout the day? Were you very aware of what you did and why you did it? Maybe not. So I think books that I'm reading and the psychology that I'm studying is more so been about like awareness. Like I'm opening my mind, my consciousness to everything I'm doing, and it's shocking. I'm like, I didn't even know these things triggered me, and it's not until I'm like, oh, because it triggered me, I acted rudely. but I didn't even realize this thing triggered me. So I'm being a little vague, but it's because I don't have an example to play off of right now. Long story
So-
short, yeah,
This
long story
sense
short,
of,
I'm trying to be
Go ahead,
aware.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
All right, yeah,
No, no,
exactly.
that's-
So this sense of self-awareness, do you find it helpful? Do you find it do you find that it's made a positive impact on you, or do you feel like just too much self-awareness is more can cause more harm, right? Because now you're aware of, all right, well, I didn't do that thing quite right. I probably should have done this. Now you're dealing with regret. You're dealing with, I mean, obviously that's a little dramatic, but some things you could deal with regret, like, oh, I probably really hurt that person, so I probably, I'm gonna feel really bad about it now. Do you think that's healthier, or do you think ignorance is bliss, right? Just go through life and just cruise through it, float, that, I guess, whatever you want to call it.
I think I have been living the ignorance is bliss for 2 decades. And I think the reason why awareness is important is because it's compassionate. Awareness isn't, like I said, this toxic positivity of everything must go right, but it's what am I going to do because things didn't go right. So long as you, like, they say that you judge other people on their actions and you judge yourself on your intentions, right? Like, you always think that you wanted to do better, but I'm trying to treat people the way I wish I was treated, I guess, like the golden rule or whatever. And I'm also cultivating inside myself this idea that, like, I'm my own best friend, right? Like, if something goes wrong or I didn't act the way I was supposed to, I'm like, okay, Saloni, sit down and be like, why didn't you act the way that you did? And show myself some compassion, because I'm a human, my intentions are good. But I flip it the other way around. Like, if someone is late to something or they don't treat me the way I want to be treated, maybe there's something going on in their life, And this is a little bit more surface level, because I'm sure you guys have heard all of this through, like, elementary school and middle school, like, treat other people well, right? But how often do you really put yourself in other people's shoes? You don't, until you understand every person here is just a representation of humanity, And so my awareness isn't more so of like, oh my gosh, there's all these things wrong. Everyone here is just being a bad person. Like, it's not pointing fingers. It's more so like just understanding. And the more you're aware of it, the more compassionate you become, because you're aware of your own mistakes and you're aware that other people can make them too.
I feel like you also have to be you have to be self-aware in like a healthy way, where you can't, like, I guess, beat yourself up for being a certain way, or if, like, you realize you did something, like, that's a part of self-awareness, but then, like, right after being like, oh, like, shouldn't have done, like, really, like, hating on yourself, I guess, for that, like, that's not, I guess, a healthy way. It's more so, like, understanding why you did that, and, like you were saying, like, why did I do that? How can I fix that and go forward?
You
Right.
gotta move forward. You can't, like, dwell
Yeah.
in the past. Gotta learn from it. Like,
Exactly. Yeah. There's what is it? There's a saying that, like, for every one, like, if you're pointing a finger at somebody, for every one finger you point, there's like 3 pointed back at you, like, quite literally. So, like, there's, for every one thing you see wrong in other people, like, maybe that is an asset. Like, it's projection in a way, like something you might not like in somebody else. It could be that it's a position you envy. It is, like, for example, so something that I was grappling with a lot this last 6 months, I've been like, I think because I'm in school, like, I've realized a lot of my friends are out working, moving, starting careers, a lot, dare I say, getting married, like, crazy things like that. And it makes me feel like, okay, am I on the right timeline? So one thing I was doing was, like, I would look at, like, something, for example, my friend Athena, she lives with her boyfriend, and every day she drives back home and she, like, cooks dinner for the both of them, right? And I'm like, oh wow, like, I wish I could do that, and I would almost envy her, and it would make me have, like, negative feelings towards the people I care for, and I didn't realize it in the time. Like, I had a good friend of mine who he works, like, 12-hour days and then comes back home, like, cleans up after the kitchen for his parents, and then goes back and makes time for his girlfriend, and, like, in the moment I wouldn't realize why these things would irk me. Like, I would almost be like, why do you, like, do that for your family? Like, don't you want me time, And I realized, like, little things like that triggered me, because parts of them is what I wanted to be and I'm not. I come home and I'm privileged. My parents make me dinner and I get to sleep in a warm, comfortable bed, and I get to spend all their money. Not that I ever have time to spend the money, but you get my point, right? The things that triggered me were because I wasn't doing those things, and it was things I wanted to prioritize. So I started shifting the perspective and, like, okay, if I idolize that, I'm going to start actively doing that in my life. And I've noticed that, like, I don't get angry anymore at those kind of things,
So it's funny you like mentioned that because I guess like I kind of went through like a similar thing like since I guess post undergrad, especially through grad school. It was like I guess you see everyone else on like the different tracks, like oh this person's working here, or, like this person's like living with someone, and like whatever, right? But it's like you like I guess put it against yourself and where you're at, and it's like you get I guess you kind of get annoyed on like a subconscious level or even depressed.
Mhm.
But it was like for me at least, I like since undergrad, like I guess I've become a little bit more self-aware now, not as much as I want to be, right? Like obviously I still have my moments and stuff, but like I've realized like why I think the way I do or like why I'm like annoyed by certain things, and it's because like like everyone's on their own path, and like it took me some time to realize that, and yeah, I don't know, I don't want to go too much into it. Go ahead.
No, I like that. And you were saying like it didn't dawn on you until I don't know, like was there like a certain moment when you're like, oh, maybe I just want to figure where I want to be, and not just whatever direction other people are in.
Yeah, I think like at some point last year I was like pretty low. And it's like probably one of the lower parts and like mental health wise, and then it was there where I was like, okay, like what's going on here? Like what's actually like I've never been like this. Like what's going on? And so then
Hmm.
that's when I started like questioning it, and then like obviously you have like your friends and stuff to help you get through it, right? But then I guess it was at that point where you're like a little more self-aware. It's like why am I feeling like this? Like what
Yeah.
exactly is causing this, and like how can I fix that?
Yeah, like the chain of whys, like, but why? But why?
Yeah.
And like you kind
Yeah.
of trail it back. I get that. I think for me, like one way that not that I've gotten out of that like that idea of like, oh, like there's so many other paths that people are taking, but it's because I think, well, up until midway of last year, there was stuff happening in my life that kind of geared it in a certain trajectory for, I had plans for like 2, 3, 4 years down the line, and things, needless to say, didn't go as planned. So I spent like 6 months picking and choosing what other people are doing in life, like if they're moving for a career, for a partner, for a change in environment. Like we have a couple of our friends who have finally moved into their first apartments and stuff, right? And I would look at
Hmm.
all these things and be like, I want it and now I can't have it, because I started getting to this mindset of like I had all these things planned, they didn't go in the direction I wanted them to, and so I don't know, I felt a little like things weren't in my control, kind of going back to that original philosophy of like what is in your control and what isn't. And I started realizing, sure, those plans that I had last year weren't in my control, but right now I can start framing for myself what it is that I want. So you were mentioning like your friends going down certain tracks of moving or career or marriage, whatever that may be. And I realized if you don't have a what is it that I want, you'll never be satisfied, right? If you never
Yeah.
have that benchmark for yourself, you'll never reach it if there's no benchmark to reach. And that's where I was at. I just started. You would see something, and that became your new want. Like, oh, someone
Mm.
moves to California. Oh yeah, the weather is great there. I mean, the state tax is kind of bad, but like so many famous people live there, and palm trees, and you start justifying this idealism of a goal that you didn't even create, but now you want it because other people do. And
Yeah.
then I started realizing that I got to fabricate that goal. So I made like lists of like what is a dream city for me and why is it that way. And it's not just some like random made up city, but I started looking at places. So then I start crafting my own goal, and it's something worth reaching. It's not something I see and then I'm like, oh, that looks shiny, let me grab it, and then I'll idolize it. So you're like work all this way to get something you never even wanted. And of course you'll be unfulfilled. So that's
I feel
kind
like
of where
that's
I was
hard.
at.
Figuring out like exactly what you want without like the influence of like what other people are doing. Like
Yeah,
that's especially with social media, that's so hard.
yeah, I know, I know. But I guess like the what point are you guys at like in your careers now that you've like I think assuming have been working for a year or a little over a year now after graduation. Like where are you at? Like what are you exploring in life? Is it new hobbies? Is it like maintaining the friendships that you have? I think this podcast is like a really big way to like have something regularly that you're working towards, whether that is like maintaining a friendship or not. But yeah, like what are some goals or aspirations of yours in the coming months, the coming year?
Do you guys want to go first? Yeah, Pat.
Finish school in 4 months.
Oh wow,
That's it.
that's soon.
Yeah. It's
What are
just
you
two more
studying?
classes.
This last
It's,
semester, right?
it's BME for grad school.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So last semester, I just want to get it out of the way. the one woo.
Yeah,
Love
so
that.
I was gonna say, I guess for me, after graduation. So I ended up getting away from the BME field and getting more into, I guess, more of like a financial and operations role at a medical center. So what I'm doing now is I'm returning to school. I'm going back to NJIT, but I'm going for healthcare systems management, which is industrial engineering. And so I guess that's kind of like one of my goals right now. But at the same time, working towards with this podcast. I do. I train powerlifting on the side, which I do like every morning at 6 a.m. And then I'm actually coaching a basketball team, so I've been trying to get.
Wait, that's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. Wait, sorry. Which thing? Which one?
Well, both
Everything.
the coaching the basketball team and the powerlifting. I've been trying
How is your basketball team?
Yeah.
Well, this is talking about like working towards goals and like not get yourself down. Right now, we are 0-5.
Working on getting better.
Right.
What's the demographic of the team? Like, are they like kids or are they people our age?
They are in. Well, it's a 7th and 8th grade league, but we have 6th and 7th graders on our team, so they're a little bit younger than the guys.
Join.
Oh, man. Maybe we could sneak you in there.
I'll shave this off.
Yeah. The mustache is not a good.
That'll do it.
Yeah. So I guess those are the things I've been like working on right now or working towards.
That's awesome. I'm glad. I'm intrigued by the powerlifting. I might ask you for tips. I mean, clearly you could tell I lift, obviously.
Yeah, I see it. Yeah.
No, but I've been like trying to diversify the way I approach fitness from like things like yoga to lifting. But yeah, so what got you into powerlifting? Have you always done it since like undergrad and stuff?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I've always just been into like personal fitness and working out and stuff. And then I started going to the gym like maybe 2.5 years ago with some friends. And, he was showing me some like power lifting stuff and, some exercises. And then I got intrigued with the idea of like, I guess a person's, what's it called? Like biological max. Like what is like my potential like that I can do? It's all about, the most you can do for one rep. And it's always just intrigued because it's like, it's a slow incline, like getting a little bit better each week. And it's like, if I can make myself, 1% stronger like a day, then, I'll be whatever it is, like 36 times stronger in a year, So it's like that gradual incline and just getting a little bit better each and every day. So
did you get that from what's his name? The guy who wrote Atomic Habits?
Possibly with the 1% better thing.
The 1% better, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I definitely watch a lot of that stuff. I guess this like the I try to think who said that. I'm trying to think where I heard that. But,
I know he definitely references it, but I don't know if it's like an original like statement by him or not. But
I had to look into who said it because I think I can think of like 2 or 3 people have said that. So I don't want to misquote who's information that is. Or,
fair enough.
What about you, Alvin?
All right. So I don't know. So I've been working for a little under a year now.
Is that why you giggled when I said that?
Yeah.
You like that?
Yeah. So like, I guess I'm still on like a very like work focused mode, I guess. Although like, I guess my goals have really turned like internal, like just trying to fix my habits, I guess. And like, so I've been trying to like work out more too. And then like, just overall, like as a person, like seeing like where I'm, so I guess being a little bit more introspective has been one of my goals. But yeah, I don't know how to build off that, but if you have any questions.
Yeah, actually I was gonna ask, so you said sometime last year you were aware that like, okay, I don't feel the best and it's gone on for long enough that like even I can notice it. Was there like a trigger point or was there like a moment where like someone else brought it up to you, and like what intentional steps did you take to understand yourself better? Like, did you journal? Did you meditate? Did you ask for help from friends? Like, what is it that kind of gears you towards a different direction than the one you were in?
So I think for me, it was like I had maybe a few weeks where I was just like really depressed, I guess. And like I didn't really know why. And like I'm a little bit more extroverted. So then, like when I was like, okay, like what's going on here? And I don't know. I ranted to friends. Like that was my main way. I have like a few friends that I like really ranted to, and then like just like talking to them, I like I guess I understood that like like maybe I'm like I need to like work on myself a little bit and like try to like drag myself out of it kind of. And I know it's probably not like I don't know if I had like a genuine trigger per se other than like after talking to friends I was like okay, like I genuinely want to like do better for myself. And then like I think I started working on it and it was going well and then I like got a job and then I just pushed it to the back of my head, I think.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if I'm like fully out of it or if I'm just not thinking about it anymore
Distracted.
or just continuing
Yeah.
it now. Yeah. But I, I'm just gonna go with it and we'll see.
Until
Hopefully it
like you
doesn't come
feel
back.
different. Yeah, I hope so too.
Yeah, I mean I feel better now. Like I feel much better.
I think
And
it's the
so
I'm
mustache,
glad.
man.
It's the mustache. It really turned the tide.
the mustache happened a few days ago. Just for clarification, I wasn't expecting to show face, right? If I have a mask on, it's all covered. And so I was feeling chaotic just for fun, like a week ago, and I shaved off my beard. And I've been trying different looks, and suddenly I have a mustache, and I've been asked to be in the podcast, and here we are.
He calls.
That's life,
We love
right? That's
it.
how it goes.
Yeah,
That's life.
we're just gonna roll with it.
Roll with the punches. I hear you. I love it.
What about you, Mike?
I mean, personally, I love my job. I ventured into I switched careers. Um, I want to say during COVID, I got laid off from the first job opportunity that I had. They just weren't looking for any junior engineers at the time. It was really big plans too, but it things didn't work out the way it was supposed to. It worked out for the better. I was able to stay in New Jersey. I started looking for a new job, and that's when I switched careers. Knew nothing about the job that I'm in right now. Got the training, kind of got thrown into the deep end, and it was a kind of a sink or swim moment. And I swam, and I started out as a contractor, or I was full time at a company that contracted out their services. So I was working at another company to lend our services to, and that company ended up hiring me full time, and that's where I'm at right now. And I love it. I love what I do. So, in terms of career wise, I feel very fulfilled. I feel like this is something that I can see myself doing long term. So much so that I'm actually going back to school to try to work on it so that I can progress further in the future. So, I mean, career wise, I feel very fulfilled. But I mean, personally, I think I'm kind of in Alvin's shoes, where you're kind of just in a funk and you're trying to get out of it. You're doing whatever you can. Like I said, the past month has been in a pretty dark place, so I've been trying to do all sorts of things to distract myself. I'm going out with friends a lot. Like, I don't think I've hung out with my family in like 2 or 3 weeks because I've been so busy trying to distract myself, stay out of the house and stuff. Um, I tried rock climbing. So instead of going to the gym, I think I'm gonna start rock climbing. I really like that. You know.
Yeah, I think like skills where you can build build a milestone. I think in the gym
Absolutely.
like you have weights, but like there's other things that I was looking into like ways of fitness that you get the dopamine rush when you reach a certain thing, So I was thinking of like I did MMA for a bit. I was gonna try rock climbing. Yeah, I was like venturing into that too because I think the psychology behind like a really good habit is like one that you could get the dopamine rush by leveling up, And I think rock climbing definitely has that.
What I love about rock climbing that's different from lifting. So I've been going to the gym for a really long time. It's just it's been on and off, but whatever. I'm not too serious about it, but I love going to the gym since I was like 16. So anyway, the thing about rock climbing is you have to think about it, right? So when I'm at the gym, I'm not really thinking about it because what are you doing? Push, pull, whatever. Not to knock on, lifters, Pat. I love lifting, man. I'll lift with you if you ever ask me to. But it's just
He won't ask you
it's
anymore.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's
You're on
not
thin ice. No, I was
enough.
kidding.
Yeah, right. It's not enough to distract me. You know, when I'm lifting, I'm still thinking, right? Because again, all I'm doing is counting and, push, pull, whatever. But rock climbing, I felt like it was an actual distraction. I have to think about where I'm going to put my hands, my feet, how I'm going to lift myself up to that next peg, that kind of thing. So I thought that was really good for, to get into. So my buddy and I are going to start trying to do that more regularly. And I'm actually going to start, this is the first time I'm going to talk about it in public, but I think I'm going to start doing dancing.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yes, do it.
Yeah, so
That is also a very good workout.
I
I
am
know, I
actually
agree.
very excited. I'm actually talking to Sahidi about it because
Oh yeah,
she does
she's doing ballet.
yeah, does she do ballet?
I thought it was ballet.
I think that's what she did, but we're
Is she
trying
adding
to
more?
do what's it called? What is it?
Salsa?
Oh God, she's gonna kill me if I get this wrong.
Is it
I can't
Indian?
remember. No, it's Spanish
Oh, yeah.
actually. It's a
Bachata?
Spanish dance.
Chatha, yeah.
No.
Tango? Salsa?
Salsa.
I
Oh
said
my-
salsa. Did I not?
You said
Yeah, it
salsa.
is the
I'm
first
sorry.
one,
I didn't
yeah.
hear you.
Play it back,
I didn't
guys,
hear
play it
you.
back.
I'm sorry.
Roll
So
the
I
tape.
think we're looking to do like salsa dancing classes. I'm just trying to keep myself busy. Like
Yeah.
I think that would be pretty rewarding. Something that not a lot of people can say that they do.
If you need more people for salsa, let me know. So I've been
I might
doing
be in
workouts.
too.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've been doing Bhangra
Partners.
workouts.
Oh,
That's
those are
been like my
killer.
latest, like, oh my gosh. And you were
Your
talking about how like you
thighs.
can't think. You have to think about every movement. So you're completely distracted.
Wow.
Let's do it. Let's all drive
Well,
up to
let's
Hoboken.
make like a dance team, guys.
Let's
No,
do
I'll
it.
do it. I'll do it. I didn't get a chance to do it in NJIT. BME's too busy.
That's fair.
Do we have a dance team?
We have an Indian dance team.
I saw
Didn't
that, yeah, I
really
remember
really like did something for like she started it, but then COVID happened. Like when she finally got a break from like heavy BME classes, she joined like a Bhangra team for a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Unless I'm
I
forgetting.
wanted
yeah.
to do it like in the beginning, but then I never got around to it. My brother did it.
No,
Oh,
I
cool.
remember going to
like-
one of the events. Like they danced like in front of like a big crowd and everything. Like they invited
That
me to it.
was I think that was one of the frat events, right?
I don't know.
In Atrium or something.
Yeah.
Mike,
Oh.
do you remember there was a party we were like teaching you how to do some Bhangra dance moves?
At a frat party?
No. This is
At a
in
frat
like
party.
a room party at UC. I
I
think Mike, Josh was there, and like there were definitely recordings of this too, of like
Well,
us straight
pull 'em
up
up.
doing like Bhangra dance moves in like a tiny corner of an apartment in college.
no.
Point is, you already have the dancing genes.
There
Exactly.
you go.
But yeah, if we're trying to do dancing, I'm here. I'll join.
Sahidi,
I
if
I
you're
realize
listening.
that like with coordinated dance, I'm like level 0, maybe worse,
Yeah.
because I think way too much. I'm like my finger moved this way. I'm not 45 degrees parallel to the ground, or like it's always a thought. But like when I'm freestyling and I'm just going with the music, it's like you know.
Jersey.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think it would really help with like self-confidence too. Like when I go out to like the club or something, I feel so awkward just like moving and like what do I do? So I do that thing where
What do
I
I
just
do with
hold
my
my
hands?
drink and I'm just like
I
So
want
I
to see
think
you
having,
break out
like,
into
some
salsa
kind of-
now, okay? Like
now I'm gonna do the salsa, like
With a drink, yeah. You know?
with a drink.
There was like one frat party in college, which you like brought up the fist bumping, but I don't know what it was that day, but I was just really into the fist bump, and I would knock people's drinks out of their hands, not intentionally, but I'd be like,
fist
"Boom."
bumping or punching.
Yeah, like
You don't get to
all-
drink.
all directions. And like for those of you who know me, like I don't drink, so like I was sober as they come, and I was just like pow pow pow, like knocking drinks. They would come back with new drinks, and then I'd be like pow, you know. And
I have plenty of sober fun. I'm just gonna put that out there. I
no, I'm just
commuted
saying
for 2
I
years.
should have been a little bit more in the right mind of not doing that. Is my point.
No. It's all right.
But yeah, Anyway, so I'm glad, Mike, that you're like venturing out into things that excite you, fulfill you, and I don't necessarily think they have to be distractions. They're just expanding what it is of like who you are, and like the identity you hold for yourself.
I think that's what it is, finding myself or
Yeah.
whatever that means.
Existential.
Actually, you know what? Let's talk about that. What is your definition of finding yourself? What does that mean?
I don't think there is anything to be found, more or less. It's creating yourself. Like,
Creating yourself.
Yeah.
Okay.
because I mean, you're kind of starting with a blank canvas, and to a certain extent, you have your tendencies of what you like and what you don't. This is actually a big thing. I think for the longest time, I can't speak from everyone, but I know for myself, I've always put myself into a box of what it is that I can and can't do. I'm a girl, so I can't like lift heavy weights, or no one in my family has structured me like that. Like, we have 2 girls in the house, and like my parents are like, do what you want. Like, you don't have to follow any sort of like girl stereotype. But
That's awesome.
yeah, I'm like really appreciative for that. So like that's why my sister and I kind of venture into whatever we do. But in a lot of aspects of life, like, I always joke. They say that like a lot of truth lies in the jokes that you tell. So I always would joke like, I'm very directionally challenged. I don't know my way around a city. True, I am very directionally challenged, but I would use that as like a crutch, and then I would not learn my way to navigate, or I would be opposed to driving on my own. I'd be like, oh, I'm going to sit in the passenger seat, And it's things that you keep telling yourself that create who it is you are. It's not that I am directionally challenged. I choose to be that way, I choose not to take the initiative and fix it, And long story short, there's a lot of definitions of little things that I would keep telling myself, and it's no one else imposing those things on me. Whether it is the navigation thing, or it's that, oh, it's been a while since I've touched math, so therefore I can't do it because I haven't touched it since high school, Like, I started realizing this past like 6 months that the second I just did it, the fear went away, because the only thing holding me back was like that self-created barrier of like who I thought I was. I didn't think I was someone who went to the gym. I didn't think, because I'm like very small, so I'm like, oh, I don't go to the gym, I'll look silly. Or, saying it out loud, when you say it out loud, it literally sounds ridiculous. But in your head, it's so rational. But yeah, and I started commuting like to school, and now I drive so much more, and I now 30, 40, 50 minutes. I drove like 4 hours to like New York for this conference, and I drove some of my friends. I would have never in a million years thought I could do that. So it's like the second you put action behind those words, you are that person. It's not like, I want to be good at writing. I am a writer. It's shifting who it is you are psychologically. I'm not someone who's good at math. I do math. I'm a mathematician. It's like identifying with that verbiage, So you're not practicing dance, you're a dancer.
I'm a dancer.
You're a dancer.
I'm a dancer.
But yeah, so it's
I
not
love
finding
it.
yourself, it's creating it and like reaffirming it to yourself.
I love it. Yeah, no, I agree with that. Damn.
Any more questions?
I
No,
want to
not
add on
really,
to what you
but-
just said, though. I
Please
think
do.
there's also an aspect of like adding layers to it, right? So it's like I don't think anyone's like genuinely happy. Like right now where you're at, like obviously you want to do more, you want to get to like a better place, but it's like adding, I guess, layers to it. So like one of my like I would like to start reading more. So you mentioned like a book. I'll definitely check that out.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like different things like that, like working out and stuff like that, like adding layers to what you're already doing and like getting comfortable to doing that. I feel like it's big to like, again, creating yourself, not finding yourself. I like
Right.
that. I like that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, everyone in their head kind of has that ideal version of themselves that you're kind of like always striving to be. So it's like, you can get in that habit of like beating yourself up for like, not getting there.
Mhm.
And that kind of ties full circle. I'm glad you mentioned that to what we were talking about earlier on. Like, whatever this ideal version you're mentioning in your head, sometimes, not always, but sometimes that ideal version is completely colored by the people around you. So maybe your version of a great person is someone who wakes up at the crack of dawn, goes to the gym, is ripped as heck, like, I don't know, like has the degree that you want, already working the dream job, living in a big city, right? And in your head, it's very much who you want to be. But the reason why every day waking up doing those things hurts so much is because maybe ultimately that isn't who you want to be. You really don't value, like deeply fundamentally, you don't value being jacked. You might value fitness, you might value health, but you don't value being ripped. So every excruciating minute that you spend in the gym trying to get to that ideal body won't even be worth it. And they say that like you spend 100% of the time in the process and 0% of it the goal. You'll never, whenever you get to the goal, the goal moves farther from the post, right? So if you don't appreciate 100% of the process, if you don't have to love, you don't love being ripped, you love going to the gym and working out. That is what you're supposed to love, right? Like the process of it. So the second, the goal isn't what you really want, and then the process to getting there isn't fulfilling because you don't identify with that character or that like identity, then none of it will be worthwhile. Like you'll always be chasing something, something outside of yourself. There will be no sense of peace.
No, that's a great point. Like finding what you genuinely want that's like, again, not influenced by anyone else. Like what you should be or you want to do.
Yeah.
Should be.
I hope like I say this to a lot of like friends whenever I get to like the culmination of a good conversation. Like I hope I'm not preachy because half of this is like me talking to myself. And not that, I mean, by all means, I don't have anything figured out, but it's curious. It's curious to me, or it makes me curious of like how much we really don't freaking know about ourselves, and we just kind of like, I don't know, like you kind of tell like I get really excited about these things. There's an energy within it. There's a buzz because it shocks me how much like unaware I've been my whole life, and the way like I've played tricks on my mind for so long because you think there's something outside of us that's going to give us answers, give us an experience, give us something of energy of life, of fulfillment. And I'm telling you, like 100% of everything is within you. Whatever you experience is not because the experience itself was great, it was because the way you saw it through your eyes, through your mind, and the way you value it, So a relationship won't get you there. The dream job won't get you there. Even like a beautiful trip with your family won't be it. It's the way you view those things. Maybe to you, a beautiful day is waking up at a certain time, having breakfast, just the simple things in life. It's about what you value and when you really see it. And yeah, so again, I don't hope I'm not preachy. It's more of like me being like, wow, life is really beautiful, and I hope that I can be aware while I'm alive to enjoy it.
I don't think you're preachy at all. I think if anything, you help to get that perspective, right? Like in everything we're doing, like we're all doing our own thing, right? But now like thinking about it after like what you've said, it's like, like, okay, like this is why I'm doing that, or like, like it adds a layer of perspective that I guess I didn't really think about before, and it's interesting to like realize that, I guess.
Thank you. I think one thing I'm still figuring out is not being like I have to prove something, it's like I'm just sharing, but like there's probably something subconscious about me that's like, no, I have to show everyone that what I'm saying is important, but like it doesn't have to be that way. It's just because I know that's not what my goal is. The second I like take a pause, I'm like, oh, my point isn't to prove anything to anyone or to explain anything by any means. It's not a lecture, it's a conversation. And yeah, more than anything, I want to take away, they say like if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room, so like I always want to like learn from whoever it is that I'm with.
Right, speaking of which, I gotta go, guys.
Like I'm the smartest person in the room.
Well, I just want to add to that. I mean, I think, when you say, like, I probably sound preachy, it's probably depending on your audience, right? Like, we're all relatively around the same age. Actually, I think we're all around the same age, So we're all in that same phase where we're just trying to figure it out, right? Like, we don't know what we're doing. I feel like if you asked me at 16 years old if I knew what I would be doing by the time I'm 24, I'd be like, yeah, 24-year-old me's got it figured out. He has to. He's 24,
Always
right?
the case. Like, yeah.
Right, but then now we're here and we're like, what do we do? What are we supposed to be doing? Where are we supposed to be in life? And and
30 is the new 24.
Exactly. Like we're just trying to figure it out. So I think these kinds of things, that puts it into perspective. Like you don't need to have it figured out. You just live your life. Take it day by day. Those things are appreciated as a reminder, right? So I actually really appreciate this episode and everything that you've mentioned so far, because it does get very very intimidating, right? Especially if you don't talk to a lot of people, like if you're more introverted and you try to stick to yourself more often, like you don't know, because again, like Alvin said, there's social media out there that is really messing with people's minds. They're all these kids our age are posting like, oh, we went on this trip, or I'm getting engaged, I have a house, when everyone doesn't have to be in that same stage in their life. Right? Like everyone took a different path, and that's fine. So I think, these reminders are really important for not just our mental health, but everyone else's as well.
I agree. Yeah, talking it out sometimes, like even hearing like you guys, and especially when I say it out loud, the things that you say are so like, if a friend told you these things, you'd be like, oh, that's ridiculous, But it's so crazy. You tell it to yourself every day, Like the excuses that you make, or the rationalities or justifications of like how you act, the way you think, the way you treat yourself. Say it to any friend and you'll lose that friend, So like, how are you going to make a friend out of yourself through at the age of 16, 18, 20, 30, 80? Like if we don't treat ourselves with that awareness, that compassion, that I think the word that has been resonating, if it hasn't been obvious at this point, we should have a ticker of how many times I said awareness. But like, I think that's been my biggest thing, because it's this conscious way of living life. It doesn't have to be that you're in a point of a high or a low or in between, or if you're in a big change in your life. It really doesn't matter. But like, are you here? Are you like present? And are you understanding like what it is that shapes this present moment? Like if you're happy, why are you happy? Is there a certain value to what you're adding in this moment? Or if you're, confused or lost, is it because something got you there? My point is like, I always ask myself, like, what is it? Why do I feel this way? Because feelings and emotions, they say emotions are like emotion, so energy in motion. It's just the energy being expressed in one way or another. The fear, oh my gosh, there was this one post. Now this is a total tangent, has nothing to do with this, but I saw something that said, respect your rage, like respect your anger. And it intrigued me. Basically, the person on the post was saying, your anger is basically your self-respect, like a quote to your self-respect. So when you're angry about something, you lash out, it's basically your inner self telling you like you're being disrespected, right? And so the anger itself is useful. The second you start shaming yourself and being like, I shouldn't be angry, but I'll be angry anyways, and you yell and you feel bad about it, what did that do? Nothing, because the inner emotion never got addressed. Why did you feel disrespected? And it's little principles, like tidbits of information like that I'm learning and I'm implementing into my life, and I'm realizing like there's so much we're doing unconsciously underneath the surface, and we'll run in these repeat circles until we're freaking 85, and then be like, oh, I just really had an ego complex, or oh, I didn't know how to express myself, but now you're 85, what are you gonna do? So I'm trying to do it at 23.
No, that's like awesome. And like even like not anger, like I guess for me, like when I'm like down, that's when I think about it, right? But like you mentioned before, it's like when you're happiest or like when you're angry, like just being self-aware as to like why you're there. It's like I don't think it's not a common thing for people to do. Like I don't do it. So
I didn't
but
for
I
a
think it would
while.
be awesome if we could,
Yeah. I guess to put a nice like bow on it, or not to like wrap things up, but I want to kind of like bring together all of your minds on this. But like if you were to take one intentional step every day, every month, every week, whatever it may be, to cultivate a better version of yourself, right? It doesn't have to be like I drink a gallon of water or I work out. I think those are more habits, right? But to cultivate yourself and make sure like you're checking in with yourself, like how would you best approach that? Would it be like meditating? Would it be journaling out your thoughts? Would it be expressing it through a passion of yours, like writing, or I don't know, podcasting? Like, what is it that you do to check in with yourself, like really within yourself, and not hanging out with your friends that bounce ideas off of you, not with your parents, not with anyone except for the voice inside your head? What would be something?
Talk to him.
You try not to talk to him? He's not the best.
Yeah, no, I drown him out with some alcohol and.
Oh my god.
I think I talk to like my inner self through music. Like based on how I'm feeling, I like play music, right? And like my music typically resonates how I'm feeling. Not all the
Mm-hmm.
time, but like sometimes like if I'm in a good mood or like a hype mood, like I'll play music like that. And like I think there was like I read it somewhere where it's like even if you're like sad, you like listen to sad music, it makes you less sad, right? Or like if you're hype and like you're listening to hype music, it instills in you like more hype, I guess, right? And so it's
Mm-hmm.
like I think music is how I kind of communicate with myself and like get into like, okay, this is how you're feeling, and like
Let it
now,
happen.
yeah, now thinking about it on a more like complex level of like why, I don't think I do too much of. It's more so just feeling your feels.
Mhm.
I feel like when you like said it, the first thing that came to mind was like journaling and meditation, but like I don't know, I don't usually journal that much. In terms of like I don't meditate either, but like I don't know. I feel like meditation would be a good way to like just having a set time just to be like, okay, this is how I felt today. Like, why? Or like, what made me feel this way? And like, I feel like that would be a cool, I
Like
guess,
catching your
habit now
patterns, you
to
know?
like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh.
try that.
I just talk to myself. I'm weird.
Like directly, like, hey, bro, in the mirror.
Yeah, basically.
Why do you think it's weird though?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's other people to talk to besides yourself. I understand where you're coming from, but it's like if I'm going to talk to someone, it's always good to get an outside opinion on things.
Mhm.
But in like talking to yourself, it's not like I even talk to myself. I just talk in my head and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, like
I
you have thoughts, right?
Yeah, that's exactly. But the whole talking to yourself, I don't know about that. I don't think
I
I've
mean,
ever
it's when you
done
start
that.
answering yourself
Yeah.
is when you should be, concerned.
Yeah.
What do you mean by answering yourself?
Like the
if you
dual
say
personality kind of thing.
Oh,
Yeah,
Oh,
like if you
yeah.
say something like another parts of you disagrees, like start arguing.
Like the
That's when
jackal,
you
huh?
start, but
Yeah. But I'd say that's not the talking to yourself part, but like the rationale is kind of like the goal you want to get to, right? You know. Like I was gonna say the thing I do is it's like you gotta take it in small steps, so it's like I like to write like the thoughts down. People usually do them in their heads, but if you write them down, I think it's easier the rationale. But kind of just say like, I don't know, like what's like one thing I could do to make myself better, or like what is one thing that I'm doing that's making myself worse, and just like take it one thing at a time, one issue at a time, and that seems to work for me. I don't know.
I think that's phenomenal advice. Like, stepping into it one thing at a time. Because when you're like, there's like a whole web of things in your head, you don't know where to start pulling it to untangle it. But the second you just ask one question and you lead from there. And when you write it too, what I love, and I don't know if it's the same for you, is like you don't have to rationalize it. When you're like talking to a friend or like, for example, you're like, I'm gonna go back to my ex. And they're like, that's a horrible idea. And then you start like rationalizing. No, but like he was like nice to me. Like remember that one time, and you start rationalizing it. But the second you like write it out, there's no other. Like it's good to have that. I know like Anthony was saying like it's good to have that feedback, and I totally agree. Like at certain points, you bring it out to the world, and you get people you care and respect to, echo it back to you, if that's what they believe. But if there's no safe space for you to even express what it is you feel, who knows how you'll react with those like bottled up emotions,
I mean, I like that you say that because that's actually exactly what my therapist has recommended to me. And Alvin, because you feel a little what's it called? You have reservations on journaling. I actually brought this out. This is my journal, and as you can see, like I write every day in it, and what I do is I get to work around 8:30. My first meeting is at 9. So from 8:30 to 9, I literally just, write about my day before, what I was thinking, When I do have those dark thoughts, I put it down in here, and then later on in the day when I'm having a better day, because I'm busy or I see my friends or whatever, I look back at it and I'm just like, oh, maybe it wasn't as bad because you're alone, it does skew your feelings, and feelings do change throughout the day, you know what I mean? So I really do really advocate for journaling. Like I love doing this. It's actually become one of the most I don't want to say productive, but it's one of the most reflective times of my day. No one else sees it. You know what I mean? Like no one else sees it. No one else reads this. So, like Saloni said, you don't have to justify it, right? It's how you felt at that moment, how you interpreted that, that moment. You just write it down, and no one else sees it. No one else gets hurt by what you say in it. It is the free reign that makes that kind of, I guess, sets you free.
It's awesome.
Yeah,
So,
and I
No,
think
that's really great.
all the things that you guys mentioned, I think even maybe 2 years ago, I would always tell myself I'm too busy. That's like the number one reason, right? Like I'm too busy or it doesn't work, something like that. But how sad is it if you don't have 15 minutes? Like what kind of life are you living? I'm telling this to myself, I'm yelling at myself. Like what kind of life are you living if you don't have 15 minutes to help ease your mind, to bring you to a better point, you know? Like, what is any of the money worth? What is any of the work, prestige, you know, social status? Nothing means anything if you are your own enemy inside your head. No step that you take onwards in life is going to be one with peace and clarity. Like, you'll always be angry at yourself, at the world, at whatever it may be, you know? So yeah, I've made a conscious step of like reading, journaling, meditating. Whenever I feel some sort of uneasiness in my life, good, bad, one way, like sometimes I get really excited and I stop. I'm like, why am I so excited? You know, like just to like catch myself and regulate, I guess, because whatever happened with me in the past year showed me like things can go haywire, you know, and the only person that's with you when your head hits the pillow and when you get up the next morning is yourself. And you got to find a way to come back to who it is that you are and cultivate that compassion and that regulation of thought, you know. It's like that steadiness where you can be really happy, please be, but when you're sad, to like have that point to come back to, have that person, that friend that's inside of you that you can come back to. Because you won't always have, you know, the friend, the girlfriend, the parent, who knows what you'll be in life, you know, and you want to be able to have that within you.
Yeah.
I love that, man. You said that like one of your outlets is meditation. So I've actually tried that. But I don't know. I think I'm doing it wrong because like, you know, when I am in a dark moment and I decide to just sit there and like, you know, turn everything off, not do anything, close my eyes and just I guess think. I don't think you're supposed to be thinking, but you know, you're not doing anything, so what are you doing? You're going to think and then you start to overthink and then
Spiral.
yeah, one of my meditation sessions, or the first one that I had, actually led into a panic attack, so I don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I'm just doing it wrong. I mean, do you have any suggestions on what meditation is supposed to be like?
Well, for one, I am as novice as they come, and maybe my definition of meditation is different, but what I'm realizing is there's a lot of different ways to define it or to practice it. You know, there's, you know, in a textbook definition, there's like mantra meditation where you're like humming a certain like tune over and over again, where you just kind of get lost in the sound of it. There's ones that are based on breath work, it's called like Huffman's breath or something like that. There's like a certain type of breath work that you work on, and they say like your breath is the connection between your mind and your body, and the second you start following where it goes, that's where your attention is. It's not where my thoughts are. The thoughts will come and go. Another type of meditation that I've done, which I don't know if it's a real one or if I made it up, but it's like this visualization where I don't think I've ever told anyone this, but like I envision myself as like a piece of energy, you know, like a ball of energy, a light, and I kind of have light like flowing through me. It's very visual. Like you just kind of like wherever your mind goes, you let yourself feel it. And so for me, that's like a cleansing meditation. I'm just like, this light is going to come through me and purify whatever is there. And I'm in this like bubble. So everything that comes by, like a negative thought, a good thought, what am I going to eat for tomorrow for dinner? You know, just the thoughts. They're outside the bubble. So they could do whatever it is that they want. Sometimes they try to reach in and I like visualize them like kind of invading this bubble, but the bubble never pops. You know what I'm saying? There is a safe space that's just me. So these are just examples of different ways that mentally where you can go, whether it's mantra meditation, breath work focus, visualization. There's other ones where you're like, you know, tapping. There's something called EFT, which is not like a form of meditation. It's like a behavioral therapy that psychologists do, where you do like tapping, where there's like 7 main energy points in your body, and you have to repeat certain things to yourself. You know, sometimes they're like positive thoughts. Sometimes it's like, I'm loved, I'm supported, I'm safe. Like that's an example, right? And like you tap and those like 7 main areas as you do them, I genuinely kid you not, can feel like a release in my body. And I've never felt that with something like this. So like when I started, I'll send you a link or something. It's called EFT, like something tapping. I think that's what the T stands for. But these are like, half of them are like based in like Vedic traditions of like what cultural meditation is. But the other parts are just like psychological, behavioral ways of regulating your mind, your anxiety, you know, and coming back to a place of like calm. And so the way I got into meditation, like when I was in my first year of dental school, I definitely suffered from a lot of like burnout. So I tried like the traditional like Headspace and things like that with free trials, but I couldn't sit there for 3 minutes, you know, and that was with someone else talking, you know, like guiding me through the meditation. And then during this long weekend, I actually just started practicing my own version of meditation, which again, it's really just this compassionate version of me that sits with me. And it could be a conversation. It can be just letting me just feel like I'm a piece of energy. Everything else around me can move as it wants, but I'm still, you know, and it's very peaceful. So I did that, and I don't know where, but I went like 52 minutes just sitting there. And I am literally the most like bouncy, bubbly like person there
Like, you
is,
sure
you know?
you didn't fall asleep or anything? It's,
No, I was like very aware. I was sitting up. So
yeah.
like yeah, and that's not even like it shocked me is my point. Like I'm very like I'm introverted, but my energy is like bouncing all over the walls. So getting to a place of like an inner citadel is what they call it. Like there is this fortress in your head, in your mind, you're safe inside of it, and it's cultivating that, because all the things that I'm not projecting, like maybe this is or isn't what you're feeling, but all these negative thoughts, they aren't you. I think you're fearing that like you are those thoughts. Those are the thoughts. Those are external to it is who Mike is. You know, Mike is this piece of energy, this life force. You know, everything else is outside the bubble. And so it's like the second you sit with it, I think you're gonna quote unquote find yourself. You know, the person inside the rubble.
I love that. I think I'm gonna give that a shot. I'll shoot you a text and be like, all right, what am I supposed to do? All
Yes,
right, and
please
then
I got
do.
lost for like 2 hours.
Yeah.
What did you show
I'm in a
me?
different country. Where do I find myself? But yeah, so I don't know what traditional definition of meditation is, but for me, it is finding a place of stillness in any moment. Sometimes it can be like, I could be between patients and I feel like anxiety. I will literally just close my eyes, turn to the wall so no one can see me, and like practice like one cycle of that breath work, and just clear everything else, for even if it is for like literally 3 seconds. It's to prove to yourself that you are not everything else around you. You are something deeper than that, you know?
I love that.
That's awesome.
Damn.
I don't think I
Yeah.
can sit still long enough. Like I need to do some kind of tapping or movement.
Yeah, whatever works. I didn't sit still for like this forever. I think in between the 50 minutes or wherever, like I did other things. Like I did the tapping, or I would like do breath work. And then I think for 10 minutes of them, I listened to like a guided meditation. So it wasn't like the same, just like sitting there and being a monk kind of thing. Maybe at some point I'll get there, but I think the second you start defining like meditation is just sitting still, can't move, can't think, it's so rigid, you know? And like, what fun is that? Same with like, if you set a goal of like weightlifting, I have to lift 100 pounds by the end of the week. It's so rigid, like you'll never expand or grow. Who knows what you do if you like let yourself explore. So for me, it's been exploring, and the way I found it is, again, stillness.
No, it's interesting to think about because like you were like saying all that, and like my head, like meditation is like you're sitting still, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
even like bringing it back to where we were before, even like you were talking about like reflection, I was like, man, like do I not actually reflect on my day? And it's like, I think when I do, and I never thought about it this way, is in my morning commute to work. It's like, yeah, I'm driving, but like I guess that's when I'm like thinking about it, and like I don't I don't know if you can consider that meditation, but like kind of feel like that's when I like focus, right? I like reflect. I'm
And
like,
is it
I don't
usually
know.
like a leave you better than where you started?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
then that's your
But
definition.
like I
That's your way of
can't like in my
meditating.
head that doesn't correlate with like meditation, right? Because
Meditation.
it doesn't follow the standard norms of like
Yeah.
meditation to me. But like
This goes back to the idea that everything is your own definition. Your definition of success, your definition of peace, your definition of progress, your definition of meditation. You define it and you work towards it, you know? So if for you, if meditation is reflection and making time for your inner self, that could be during a car ride.
yeah, that's awesome.
Look at that, Alvin. You're already
Man,
meditating.
this is too much. I'm like realizing too much in this
Too many
podcast.
things.
Oh no. Oh boy. Got a lot to think about in the tomorrow morning's commute.
Now my morning commutes are mainly like there was some book that not that I read, but someone referenced it, where it's called Traffic Academy, where I listen to a bunch of podcasts on my drive to and from school. So to me, I'm learning as I'm coming back. So I call it like Traffic Academy or Traffic University, because while I'm stuck in traffic, I'm learning. I learned that concept like a few months back, and I started using it. So for me, that's what my drives are. They're just like, I watch a bunch of podcasts from like Rich Roll to like David Goggins, like the athlete, like ultra athletes.
Nickel
to
for your thoughts.
Nickel. I'm subscribed. I'm subscribed. Don't worry.
Thank you for the support.
I'm
But yeah.
Sourav, that's what I'm here for.
2.0. But yeah. Anyways, if we have to end at one point, I just want to say thank you. Like, this was just in general a good conversation. I think the incentive behind it was like, hey, someone to get on here, talk a little bit about yourself. But at the end of the day, I got to like talk to 4 really wholesome people, so I'm grateful.
Oh, I love that, man. Thank you. I mean, we really. I can't wait for you to start your podcast. If your podcast is going to be things like this, you know, I think you're going to be helping a lot of people, and you don't even know it. Like a lot. Something that I've come to realize when I started doing my TikTok thing, and I like I said before, the TikTok thing is solely for me. It's not. I'm not doing it for other people. You know, for other people's I guess pleasure to help other people. It's really for me. I've said it. I said it in the last episode that it's so that I can reflect on these quotes, these things this content that I've seen on social media. It's for me to reflect on it. It's for me to put my own perspective on it, and it kind of eternalizes it, right? Like if I ever get back into that state where, you know, I'm upset, I need something to remind me why I'm doing what I'm doing, I go back to those videos and I'm like, okay, that was my mindset. That's why this helped me before. So it really is for me. But then like I've also gotten DMs from just random people like, hey man, you know, like I really appreciated this, you know, like where was the original content? And, you know, I just point them to, you know, that I got it from this account or something, or I'll send them the Instagram DM or whatever. So I'm very excited for you to launch your podcast or whatever platform that you're trying to work on next. You gotta let us know when that starts. You know, we'll be here to support you every step of the way. You know, we'll send you whatever resources we have that could.
Yeah, I know we were talking about like the technicalities of it. But yeah, for sure, I'm gonna reach out. You guys are like the only people I know that run a podcast. Everyone else is like famous or, you know, a millionaire. So
I mean, we're super young.
Whoa! What are you trying to say?
I'm saying you guys are approachable and financially restrained.
Within your range.
Within my range. I'm a student. You guys are at least making money, okay? So if anyone here is grappling with money, that's me.
No, it's fine. I mean, we're super young. You know, I actually just looked at our statistics this morning because I was talking to a friend about it, and we have like 100 listeners, which is great.
That's a lot.
That's awesome.
Don't get me
Wow.
wrong. Like that's great. You know, I never thought 100
That's so
listeners,
many.
and you know, even if you assume half of those are our friends, you know,
Yeah.
friends and family or whatever, 50 of those people we don't know. You know what I mean? Like, so, you know, for our listeners, we love you. You know, very thankful for the support. But again, you know,
The hard
in the
to
grand
say.
scheme of things, to us, yeah. Yeah.
Wait.
Oh yeah, how could you forget?
In the grand scheme of things, you know, if you compare us to like people like Joe Rogan, right? Like, you know, we're nothing, but you know, to us, this is something that we do for ourselves. You know, we have fun doing it. You know, I hope you had fun, you know, being on tonight.
Oh, of course.
No judgment.
Yeah,
you know,
I thought I
at
was going
all.
to be on a podcast. I like realized myself a little bit.
You're like, I'm having an existential
we
crisis.
had a
Yeah.
free therapy
No.
session, right? Like,
Yeah. Let me know when your
Who said it
podcast
was
comes
free?
oh no!
I charge by the hour.
Yeah, well, she's gonna send us her Venmo
Yeah,
tonight.
yeah, girls gotta pay for dental school somehow.
So yeah, please, you know, keep us updated. We're gonna post a picture to let our listeners know, our followers on Instagram know that we posted. I don't know who actually, you know, looks at it like, oh my god, the next episode is up. Let's listen to it. But,
Look,
you know,
I
You never
started watching
know.
the last one because of the post.
There you go.
yeah, there you go. So
Do you guys
I
record this for YouTube or something too? Like, what platforms is it on?
mhm. we have it on YouTube. I'll post. I think
Plug it in
it's
the
on our.
podcast.
I think it's on our Instagram. I think if you just go to like the link, I think Anthony and Sourav put that together where you can just go in the link in our bio and it'll post it shows all the links that we have.
Gotcha. I know you're on like Spotify and Apple Podcasts because that's where I had found like subscribe, but I didn't know you guys like recorded.
Yeah.
Video too.
Oh, Should I have asked for consent or something?
Oh, no.
We are recording the video. We've been recording the video for the
I
past
realized
hour
that-
and 15 minutes.
I realized that once we had the whole mustache moment, but like, yeah, like I'm fine with it. I just didn't know what.
Bring attention to the mustache.
Anyone who's listening to this not on video, I hope you like check it out because the mustache really is a sight to see.
No,
Alvin,
Especially if
Right.
you know Alvin in person. Like,
Right, yeah. You don't even have to listen to the podcast. Just come see the mustache.
Yeah, agreed.
Or just go to our Instagram.
This
We're
is
posting a
purely
picture.
circumstantial. Like you just caught me at a really bad time.
Come next
Alvin,
week to
cover
see
it
the
up.
goatee.
What?
A goatee? What?
Yeah, I said come next
Oh
week
no,
to see
yeah,
the
I
goatee.
had the whole goatee
Goatee.
before.
Can you
So you're gonna
grow
grow
one
it
in a
again?
week? And...
I'm growing back the whole beard. I had enough.
Right.
We'll
Next
post a
week.
picture of Pat's mutton chops.
Oh God, no.
So yeah, for our listeners, I mean, I'm assuming they're gonna see our Instagram post before they listen to the episode. But we're going to tag both of Saloni's accounts. You have your platform account and then your personal account. You know, give her a follow. She posts great content. You know, your last video on like what is it, inner happiness?
Mhm.
Like I listened to it. Did you was that you talking in it, or did you?
Yes,
Was
that's
that
me.
someone else? Amazing! Like it was great.
you.
Like it
Thank
felt.
you.
It sounded like I was listening to like an audiobook.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know what it is, but when I start like, I wrote those out. Those are like not poetry, but they're just like trains of thought. And then when I'm like trying to express them, I think in conversations like this, I'm like trying to get the next word in. But when there's like a collective calm thing to say, I try to say it slowly and with pause. So I'm glad you appreciate it because I'm like aware of it. I don't want to sound super like energetic. I want to match the tone of what it is that I'm writing. So yeah, thank you.
No, it
yeah,
was
they're
great.
really great.
So
But yeah,
yeah,
you gotta lower down on the compliments because I'm gonna get a big head. So you could throw in like a little like tease about it, like Saloni kind of got a man voice. You know, you could. I'm saying just don't boost me up too much.
no, it's fine. Again, to all our listeners, please go support Saloni's accounts. We'll also let you know when she launches her podcast, so you guys can go and follow that. Yeah, is there anything you guys wanted to add?
I
we're
got
good.
nothing else. Yeah, I was gonna say it was
Same
a good
here.
podcast, good cast.
Yeah, awesome.
Thanks, Saloni, for being on.
Thanks,
Thank
Saurav.
you. Yeah, thank
Yeah,
you, Sourav 2.0. Oh, he's gonna hate us. He's gonna
Oh, my
text
goodness.
us about that later. He's
Okay,
gonna be like,
he wasn't here. Or I'm here.
Right.
I'm here.
We should have a
Yeah.
serious sit down with him that like Alvin did so well that he's gonna
Maybe he
be.
should be replaced.
A replacement.
Next podcast
Sourav.
is just me and Sourav.
Shoot
I'm
him
the
a
real
text.
Sourav.
We need to talk.
Right, yeah, just to mess with him.
What
I
roles
think
do
it
you
was
guys
the
all play?
mustache.
What do you mean?
Sorry. Like, do you guys like have different roles of like who edits stuff, who like it posts on social media? Like, do you guys have different roles for this, or
So Anthony,
I actually
think
don't
it
have
was
access to
Anthony.
the account anymore.
what did you do?
I got a new phone and it logged me
Oh.
off, and I can't find the password.
Okay, I'll send you the user and password
Okay.
if I figure it out. Yeah, Anthony is doing our what's it called? Our social media. I am mostly doing the like the editing and stuff. Editing. I mean, I bleep out a few words if someone tells us that we probably shouldn't say that. I'll bleep it out before I upload it. But really, all the work is done by the server that I told you about at the party. Like that one server, we upload
It sends it all.
our audio. It sends it to all the platforms.
Gotcha.
I mean, there's really not much more to it. We're trying to add more, but we're waiting until we have a larger listener base. I think Pat is gonna start an OnlyFans to
Yeah.
promote
I'm still
us.
waiting to hear Pat's
Yeah, gotta start making money somehow, right?
Yeah, so
I get that.
that's why he
Pat,
picked up.
I want to hear
powerlifting.
you sing.
I knew it. I knew it. It wasn't for like inner peace of mind. No,
Yeah, that was all a bunch of BS.
Profit.
It's for the OnlyFans, you know.
it's for the OnlyFans. I knew it.
So I'm like,
What does Sourav do?
are you gonna bleep out every 2.0 when we say Sourav 2.0?
He's gonna be
No,
like, what did they
absolutely
say?
not.
Pause.
If anything, I'm
Yeah.
gonna raise the gain on it so that it sounds like Sourav 2.0.
Yeah.
All right, you gotta tell me his genuine reaction to it, or if not, get it on the podcast next time.
Well, I'm sure he'll mention it next week.
No, we just can't tell him, and we'll see if he listens to the podcast.
Mm.
And
Oh,
if he doesn't, if he
2.0.
doesn't mention it, then we bring it back up
then
on
we
the
know he
podcast.
didn't listen.
We bring it up
Wow.
next week on the podcast. It's like, Sourav, did you notice anything different about last week's podcast? You know, besides of course Alvin and Saloni being on it. He's like, no, of course not. I didn't get to
You know
watch
what
it. I
Alvin's
was
role
busy. I was
was?
busy.
Loyalty
I didn't get to
test.
hear it. Yeah, we coined Alvin as Sourav 2.0.
Right.
What?
You,
What
didn't
the heck?
you didn't hear the last
bet-
10 minutes where we
Indian.
just talk shit.
How much you want to bet that's gonna be his genuine, like, verbatim reaction, like, word for
Oh
word?
yeah,
Oh, probably.
Anthony
Yeah.
knows Sourav pretty well. He's pretty predictable too.
No, I think he'd be like,
Wow.
Wait,
we're really
the
gonna
guy's
sit
"What?
not
Are you
here."
serious?"
But
And
he's
then,
not here.
and then like a chuckle.
He might not want to come back after this. Gee.
Sourav, if you're
You
listening,
said it's a slight chuckle.
Yeah, a slight chuckle. You throw in one. 100%.
Sourav, if you're listening, we're not sure if you are. We got
Sourav,
Alvin.
if you're listening.
What is
Alright.
this? What is
You
this?
know what this
It's
is.
It's supposed to be like a heart.
You know what this is?
How's
It's
the
a
heart?
man. It's
Look at the outline
Look
of
at
the
it.
outside of your
It's like-
fingers.
Oh,
Didn't Josh show us
Too
that?
hard.
never heard of that.
Josh
Never
did
heard of
show us that, and that was like our first picture together.
that. That's why we did this in the picture?
hmm
Yes.
Oh
Yeah.
my
Well, someone was
god.
definitely not aware.
Wow, we're
Oh
all
my god.
everyone's
Oh,
having
now
a
you
self-aware
embarrassed.
moment.
Yeah,
What
this
the
is it.
heck?
If anything else didn't get them,
we
this
could have been
did.
throwing up gang signs, and you wouldn't have like. You would have
Right?
just
Didn't
done
it?
This is a gang sign.
it.
Yeah. I don't know. So this is like the whole Italian thing. So I thought that's
Did
what we
you
were
think
doing.
that's
Oh,
what you
you're
were
that-
saying to
Yes.
everyone with the picture?
Yes,
Wow.
Italiano. Hey, pizza
How does that
mozzarella.
relate to
Profile
anything?
picture is
No,
so
I don't
bad.
know. You know what? I gotta go back to this. I'm gonna go look at this picture. Isn't it
We
like the
had you,
picture?
Pat, me,
Watching the
Sourav,
picture,
and Josh.
like
Josh,
Who
yeah.
there was Italian?
No one.
You know,
Well,
Anthony,
actually-
part Italian.
Actually, I was 1% Italian before
According to
23 and before 23 and me like scanned my DNA again, and they said no, you're not.
Oh.
Oh, nice.
I was
Like,
Italian
time.
for about 2 months. Is it a group me or is it a WhatsApp?
What?
Or that
Oh,
where
I
that
was thinking
photo
of
is?
the wrong picture, guys.
Oh, I'm talking about the one when we're wearing
Oh,
flannel.
go to my Instagram. It's like my first picture. I only have like 4 pictures, so
Oh, facts.
Mike, by the way, did you take the thumbnail or whatever that you were trying to take?
I'm just gonna take it from the video. I'm just gonna
Oh,
find
okay.
a still. Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I've been doing. All right, so to all our listeners, thank you. Saloni, thank you for coming on. Alvin, thank you for subbing in.
permanently.
Don't
Let's
say
not-
that.
let's not-
We'll,
let's
we'll,
not take
we'll
this
let
too
you know
extreme.
if we're gonna need you to come back.
You'll see next week if Sourav or Sourav 2.0 makes it.
Just
yeah,
in
yeah.
case, keep your Wednesday nights open.
Right, yeah. You're on call. Yeah.
On the backup.
All right. Let me actually get this started. Oh God, I probably should have gotten this ready before.
What's happening?
I don't know. I feel like I should say bye.
All right. Yeah. Thank
Bye.
you. All right. Have a good night. Until next episode. Peace.
Peace.
Yeah.
Bye.